One of the most controversial questions surrounding the character of The Fiend is, does Bray Wyatt need a world championship when he portrays the Fiend character itself? Obviously, we all want the Fiend to be the most successful superstar in the WWE, but the championship, is it actually necessary? And I want to start off by saying there is no right or wrong answer, but go and answer the question. Does the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, need the championship, the world championship? Let me know in the comments section down below. Now, being a world champion used to be about prestige and heritage and being the best in the company. And over time, it sort of developed, as the wrestling industry has developed, to more an interesting entertainment aspect. And you haven't got to be the best to win the championship if it makes storyline sense. The Fiend being the champion is not the issue. The championship makes the Fiend seem all that more deadly because he wanted it, he went and took it. And that's what a character like the Fiend should do. It's how you then take the championship off of a character like the Fiend that can then damage the mystique of the character. And I think the way Goldberg won the championship, I think most fans had an issue with. But in fairness, I think the fans are also at fault here because you have to pay attention to the story to then not be angry at it.
New toys.
This is my favorite new toy.
Bray literally pulling the championship out of a toy box told us fans instantly what he thought of the championship. To him, it was nothing but a toy, a prop that Bray Wyatt used the Fiend character to have so Daniel Bryan would chase him for the championship. And when it came to Goldberg, the Fiend simply stood in the ring and said, well, I'm not interested in being the champion right now. After he lost the championship, he could have attacked Goldberg there and then. Instead, he vanished, reappearing on SmackDown behind John Cena, who would go on to become his WrestleMania opponent. And obviously that's more important to the Fiend at the time. So dropping the championship really didn't matter, simply because the Fiend just didn't want it at that time in the first place. Something Bray pretty much confirmed on Twitter at the time, saying to my Mockingbird, not a loss, instead a sacrifice. He wasn't a chapter in my tale. I began with a mission, and now I'm where I'm supposed to be. You'll see. And although everything changed because the world went crazy, of course we did see the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena and the Fiend seemingly torturing John Cena with his own past and defeating John Cena at WrestleMania. Bear in mind, had everything not happened, Bray Wyatt would have probably pinned John Cena in a WrestleMania ring. That would have been epic. And I do agree, telling that story on TV probably needed to happen more because that would have explained it to the casual fan. Look at Roman Reigns. When Roman Reigns returned to the WWE, he interjected himself straight into the Universal Championship picture and took the title from the Fiend. But people don't really complain about that because there was another man involved in the match, and it was actually Braun Strowman that Roman Reigns defeated to win the Universal Championship, not the Fiend. And although most of the digitals, most of the images that come out of that SummerSlam is Roman beating the Fiend, he didn't defeat the Fiend. The Fiend got drafted to Raw, and Fiend versus Roman Reigns one-on-one has not happened yet. I mean, it might do one day, and I'm sure it will. And I'm pretty confident we can guess from the past, the Fiend does have plans for Roman Reigns and that revenge story. They have a lot of history together. But Roman taking the title from the Fiend by pinning Braun Strowman definitely did not hurt the Fiend. And in the modern age of wrestling, where WWE are basically out to make money as a business, selling merchandise is one of the biggest things and one of the biggest attractions to them to make someone a big name. The Fiend had a championship belt that cost $7,000 that sold out. One of them recently sold on WWE auctions for $14,000. It wasn't me that bought it, I promise. Then you have the ordinary near $400 replica championship, the mini Fiend replica title belt, and of course the side plates to go with it all as well. That kind of merchandise revenue helps WWE establish, is the Fiend successful? Is the Fiend making us money? And the honest answer is yes. And they need him to be the champion to get that. And to get that revenue for not only them, but for Bray Wyatt too. I think it also helps if you're a casual fan sat at home watching the TV, turn over to wrestling for the first time in a while, and you see a character like The Fiend as the champion, you instantly know that, oh wow, this guy must be huge because he's the champion here. He's not just some goofy man in a mask. No, he's the world champion. That's a big deal still to a lot of the casual audience. And it's a way for WWE to draw attention to a superstar. Now, as we said, the championship really doesn't have the prestige or the longevity of a world champion like superstars used to have many, many decades ago. Take The Miz. The Miz was world champion this year for 1 week. 1 week. And the whole point was to get the championship onto Bobby Lashley, and it hasn't hurt The Miz at all. The Miz is on TV now. Okay, he's injured, but he's doing some of the best comedy work of his entire WWE career. I personally don't think that The Fiend winning the championship is a bad move. I think him having the title is a good idea because ultimately it makes him the face of a brand. It makes him the hunted. And although that can be an issue at times, WWE Creative just need to up their game and come up with a creative way eventually for The Fiend to lose the championship belt, so therefore it does not damage him. Make it part of the Bray Wyatt story, because let's be fair, most of you watching this video are super invested in the story of The Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse and everything that's coming alongside it too, the whole revenge angle. Make it part of that. And with recent reports from Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, he has suggested that Bray Wyatt is a strong possibility for Lashley's next feud, I assume after Goldberg at this point. But The Fiend having another chance at the title, I don't think's a bad move. Especially with Bray returning to WWE soon, if you have superstars like Randy Orton. Why would Randy Orton legitimately want to fight The Fiend again? Unless The Fiend was the champion. Roman Reigns is literally the Universal Champion at this moment in time. But why would Roman Reigns want to fight The Fiend? Unless The Fiend was the Universal Champion. Just like we saw in the Daniel Bryan part of Bray Wyatt's story, use the championship to lure the opponent in. Use that as the reason they will want to fight The Fiend. Because it makes sense. Why should anyone want to fight The Fiend? I want to be clear. There is no right or wrong answer. Some people will have the opinion yes, and some people will have the opinion no. I don't necessarily think The Fiend needs the championship, but if it's a way to lure people in, make the championship the prop, make it that toy again, I think then yes, maybe he does need the championship to then get revenge on people he wants. So as long as the story's fine and the story's still rolling, yes, I'm on board with The Fiend being a world champion. So go on, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. I know I asked for your thoughts like 30 seconds into the video, and I've done this specifically in this way because I wanted you to write your thoughts immediately. And if you have, and now you've got to the end of this video, I want you to tell me if this video has maybe changed your mind. Very interesting to sort of see if that's the case. Make sure you please like the video, share the video, because the more people that come and have their say here, that's a really cool topic of discussion and be cool to see other people in the comments section. Of course, follow me over on Twitter at CWrestlingUK, and if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you as always next time.